Welcome to episode 3 of Talkin with Turpin. I am so excited today to have our guest with us. We're going to focus on veterans today, and we are blessed to have many services available for our veterans in this community and to showcase them. And today our 3 guests will tell you about that. And so I'll start on my left and have Jared introduce himself, and we'll go down the list here.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you. Huge fan of all the work that you do, and like I was telling you earlier, love Talkin with Turpin. What a genius name. For those that don't know me, I'm Jared White. I am the co-founder and executive director of FW22. We are, in my opinion, the standard in our community for veteran suicide, mental health, addiction, recovery, and now military sexual trauma.
Katie?
Hi, my name's Katie Jordan. I work in Allen County Veteran Services, so I'm a veteran service officer. Thank you for inviting all of us and all these organizations. We all work together. And yeah, we have a great office. Come visit us.
Eric?
I'm Eric Johnson, First Vice Commander of the Veterans National Memorial Shrine and Museum here on 2122 O'Day Road. If you haven't been out here, we invite you to stop out. We're open 4 days a week, Monday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11 to 4. We invite you and your family and all veterans to come out and see our museum and all our memorials on our 40-acre grounds.
So Eric, we'll start with you first. I got to meet Eric a couple years ago. I had a call from Representative Carbaugh saying, hey, you know, the veterans need your help. They need $10,000 to move a tank from Virginia to the property here. And I'm ashamed to say I'd never been out here before. And so Eric and Bud Mendenhall, invited me to come out. I did. We had a great conversation. And out of that, we got that tank moved here, but got a chance to really see all the great things that y'all are doing out here. And that's where we're actually taping at today. And I'd encourage you, if you've never made a visit out here before, you should. Does a great job of covering all of our veterans, really from the Revolutionary War to today. So tell us a little bit about, what your goal is here and what you try to showcase.
Well, when we came in here, Pat Frazier got me involved about 8 years ago, and I blame him. But at the time, it was in disarray. They had a lien on the building. There were sewage problems. The old museum was in kind of disarray, and so what we did is we got our new team together, and we actually started fundraising. Our first shot in the arm was the Vietnam Memorial Wall, and we had an opportunity to bring the wall to Fort Wayne, make it permanent, working with a firm out of Texas, and we did that, and that really put us on the map. And our next goal, and this was a 3 to 5 year goal, was to have a museum that was much larger than the current facility. So Mr. Paul Wolf came out one day on a tour from retirement home out at Townhouse, and he said, your museum's not very big. And I said, well, Paul, we're hoping to get a new museum down the road. And sure enough, he helped us fund this beautiful 6,000 square foot museum, which opened in 2023. And then the Sterling Chapel, which just finished last year, and now we're moving on to new monuments, and the Women's Monument, which is scheduled for next year, is we're in a fundraising mode on that. Got some help from the state, and we continue to expand our goal and our mission is where no veteran will ever be forgotten. So we have people who are buying legacy bricks, who are putting benches in memory of their loved ones, new monuments coming, our World War I, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and also OEF, OIF, which is Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and that'll be dedicated on September 11th of this year. So lots going on, and if you haven't been out here, I encourage you to bring your family and your young kids, because they can learn more about what's happened through the history of war in the United States and get the real story. And a lot of times when you're talking to veterans out here, we have a coffee lounge where veterans can get together and kind of share stories, and it's very popular. And I think veterans, they come out here, and there's no pressure. It's kind of a solemn atmosphere outside where the monuments are, but that's what people want to do. If you want to come and find somebody on the Vietnam Wall that you need closure to, or a friend or a relative, that will help you find that name and talk you through it. So for me, it's a rewarding experience, and where no veteran will ever be forgotten is kind of our mantra, and we try to keep that every day.
Okay. Yeah, and I would encourage folks, most of our schools don't really talk about, the freedom's not free and the sacrifices that men and women have done for over 200 years. And this museum does a really nice job of kind of telling that story, helping educate, as well as you said, I mean, it's going the next mile. One of the things I'm most excited about recently, the columbariums that are being added in, to where if veterans, want to spend eternity, here on the grounds with their fellow veterans, that now is an option. And so,
Well, it's nice because, as a Vietnam veteran, I want to be with my brothers who are on the wall. And we have the columbarium, which will hold 132 niches. And we're already selling many niches ever since we announced it. And now we have the actual first piece of the structure. There's 3 total pieces. And we've ordered the other 2 pieces to be, and that'll be in before the end of the year. So we're really excited about that, Ron. And a lot of guys say, "Yeah, I want to be with my brothers out at the shrine." And we think this is going to be great for us and into perpetuity. It'll help us. We're going to have an endowment from the sales of the niches, and it's just good for all around people.
it is, and it's a great thing for the state of Indiana. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, thanks for all you
Wonderful.
guys do.
Thank
so,
you.
So, Katie, you guys are actually a department of the county.
Yes.
Most people do not know that you exist. You're a well-hidden gem. And first floor Rousseau is where your office is. Tell us a little bit about what you and the team do over in Veterans Affairs.
So our office helps veterans, their dependents, surviving spouses do federal claims and then state benefits also. So not only are we able to do the federal benefits like for disability, non-service connected pension, special monthly compensations and stuff, we're able to do then state benefits and talk towards that, like remission of fees and property tax deduction. So that's a big part of what we do. And there's a couple. What's great is the state of Indiana has one of us in every county mandated. If they, Allen County is lucky enough that we have the 3rd largest veteran population. So we have 2 veteran service officers that are able to help our community.
Yeah, both veterans.
Both veterans.
Yep.
So you have to be a veteran to be an accredited service officer in the state of Indiana. And so I am a OEF veteran, and so I think I'll be there September 11th. And so we just are able to help veterans through that process. And what's great is our services are free of charge. We are not the claim sharks that are out there. So we do this for free of charge, and we are a county entity. And the best way is just by word of mouth. Other veterans telling other veterans about us, and they keep us real busy.
Well, and I would encourage the public, if you have a loved one who's a veteran or you're one yourself, and the whole morass of state and government papers, work and all that can just be overwhelming. These folks know how to cut through all that and get stuff done. I would highly encourage you, just even stop off, and set an appointment up. They're on the 1st floor of Rousseau. If you go down on that east side by where the auditor's office is, go to the end of the hall, they're right there. Friendly people, and but they are some of the best in the state of Indiana at what they do. So I would highly encourage you, if you've not, and if you're just frustrated about, why can't I get these benefits done? These are the folks there to do it. Something I'm excited about, a couple weeks ago, your office came before the Board of Commissioners to get an increase in the death benefits paid for by our veterans, and we enthusiastically supported that. So
for both burial and so there's a medallion when a veteran passes that they can get on their headstone. So we got an increase for that installation of the medallion also.
And I did make sure that I checked with Americ that does go for columbariums too. So
great.
there you
That's
go.
super.
So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Now, Jared, you're supporting veterans as well, but yours
Yes.
looks a little different than theirs. Tell us a little bit about what FW22 does.
Yeah, so we're always called the SAD booth. We've been that for 11 years, and I take great pride in it. We founded, my best friend and I, after the Marine Corps because we had a lot of our friends lose the fight to mental health. And what was ironic about it is I am a disabled combat vet, but my best friend Tyler isn't. And we both had friends losing that fight. And so we just really couldn't understand how you serve your country and you win the war overseas and you make it home safely, and then you lose that fight at home. And this is where we're supposed to be protected and safe. And so that's honestly, we didn't even mean to become a nonprofit. We just wanted to create some camaraderie, and we had saved someone's life that year, our first ever year, and that's really like something clicked in my brain. And fast forward 11 years later, I work hand in hand with the VSO quite frequently. I run our veteran court, our problem-solving courts. I've partnered with Allendale, so we're really big into addiction and recovery, which is, statistically really just rising. And we're the only ones that do in the whole state active duty suicide prevention at these bases. We've partnered with Remedy Live, kind of like how they do Texture Active, to really bring a new approach to these bases with anonymous polling. It's really hard to be in the military and say you're struggling with substance abuse or depression without it being held over your head. And I love our troops so much, so I want us to be the most effective warfighters our country has. So by doing this training, I was very excited to do it, but I'll be honest, the numbers are pretty alarming. Even here locally, we've had two active duty suicides just this year alone. And even as a population in Allen County, our suicide rate, even up to the month of April, is double than what it was last year, but 21% of those are veterans. So it's beautiful that we specialize in what we do. Like I said, I believe wholeheartedly I am the standard when it comes to veteran nonprofits as far as being in the trenches. I mean, we are there from the second a suicide attempt happens, whether it's a successful one or hopefully not a successful one, but we are there with putting the family in counseling, getting the family housing, getting them in touch with their benefits, navigating what's next, right? The VSO is like my best friend. I tell almost every veteran I come across, have you been to the VSO? And they're always like, what is the VSO? And I'm like, this is wild to me. We need $1 billion marketing budget for them, because what they do, it's literally a one-stop shop for vets. And before I even help a vet, I want to know, have you been to the VSO? If not, why not, right? Like I have no problem fighting alongside you, but I need you to do it yourself too. And the VSO is a great way to start. So yeah, and then like Katie and I were just discussing, statistically, females are joining at a much higher rate than males, which means statistically, the future of our vets are going to be predominantly females. And military sexual trauma is something I'm extremely passionate about. And I believe right now it's 20% of all females that serve experience that. That's only out of 6% being reported. So we just launched our first ever MST, military sexual trauma team. So that way we have a solution for the problem for when it arises, in Allen County in the years to come. So we've been very busy, and we've grown tremendously. And between my partners at Allendale and Remedy Live, it's been very busy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you guys do great work. I've known Jared for a couple of years now,
Yes,
and if there's veterans, he's there. Heard some great presentations. Tell us a little bit about. I did go to the Veterans Court graduation a few months ago, and tell us a little bit about how that court was set up and through Judge Hand and what that does.
Was that the one that I was speaking at?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so first off, I think I wore shorts, so Judge Hand was just sweating. And she was like, do you have a speech? And I'm like, no, I just wing it.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I got you.
Judges wear robes, so
Yes,
they could have shorts underneath that they don't know.
So I had Judge Wendy Davis on my podcast probably over a year ago, and she and even Joe Wasson were real instrumental in bringing our vet court to Allen County. And when I just came to shadow it, and this is no disrespect to who's ever done it prior, but I just didn't like the way it was being operated. I'm a firm believer that veterans need to be held accountable. That's how I show them I love them. And I was seeing a lot of vets that really were just playing victim and feeding our judges lies and getting away with it. And I wasn't going to tolerate that, because again, you're a vet in my community, and I want you to be the best version of yourself and be a success in our community. So I batted my blue eyes for a few months to Judge Hand and Magistrate Trevino, and I said, hey, I don't want to be a mentor. I want to run it, and I want to do it my way, and this is how we're going to do it. And it took a little bit of time, but they saw the results. I now meet with them alone prior to court, because I kind of just want to know what lies they're going to tell our judge first. Because when you're in this situation and you're in recovery, the last thing you want to do is own up to your mistakes. And I understand, by the way, like I get what you're going through. I understand the whole addiction recovery. I grew up with it with my family. So like I understand that life's, you know, a little bit tricky, but I'm here to help you. And by me giving you that tough love, just like in the Marine Corps, I think it's going to end up polishing you to be the best version of yourself, for your wife, your husband, your kids, your community. So the vet corps, I'll be honest, it's easier to take the charge than to go through the vet corps. It's a 3-year process. It's expensive. You have therapy, a lot of mandatory urinalysis testing, group therapy. They want you to, you know, hold down a job. You're there depending on which phase, a couple times a month. So it's not easy, but it's really beautiful when you see them enter phase 1 and they just have no sense of responsibility and it's always everyone else's fault, compared to phase 4 when they're really thanking the people that show up each week from our city and our county and spend countless hours working with them. And by the time they graduate, which I got to speak at, it's just beautiful because, you know, at some point, everybody that was in that graduation had raised their right hand and swore an oath. That's a pretty historical ordeal in someone's life. And for whatever reason, when we get out, we forget that sense of pride we had for our country and our community, and we just get down these rabbit holes because we surround ourselves with just the wrong people. And so it's important to me that I try to pull that sense of pride back out, because you are a veteran, you did serve your country, and that's not an easy task. So hold yourself to that same standard. And not everybody am I able to do that with, but the ones that I do get that little motivation back, or that espiritus de corps as I call it, it's a beautiful thing because they're ready to take charge. I think our oldest vet and vet corps right now is 93. So he's very stubborn, but it's very beautiful to watch these humans that just have no hope and see like our county and our judges fighting for them. You know, a lot of times they get a bad rap and we're the bad people, but it's we love you and we care about you and our community. So it all comes full circle to my motto, which is one team, one fight. Without my community, FW22 is nothing. So to see, you know, everybody from our awesome sheriff and our police and our prosecution and our county and our judges, like we're fighting day in and day out for these humans. So it's been beautiful. It's definitely hectic sometimes, but it's well rewarding.
Good. So Eric, as you have groups that come through here, you know, what are some of the responses you get from either school children or people that don't have any kind of background in the military or didn't know this place existed?
Well, we had a group of elementary school kids come out one day, and there was like 50 of them, and we had several vets helping out, trying to control crowds and take them to different places, different things. And the greatest comment I heard was when they left, one guy says, "Well, this was a lot more fun than I thought it'd be." And I thought, you know, that's the way it hits kids when they come out. We had 50 kids from Garrett High School, and we took them to the wall. And being a Vietnam vet, you know, I know it inside, outside, backwards, got friends on the wall, and can tell the history and how they're listed and how you find a name and do all that. And they were amazed to know that there was a kid from Garrett who lost 143 of his buddies on the Battle of Dak To, Eddie Placencia, and Eddie's got a bench out there. And Eddie comes out probably every other week, and he sits out there. And I said, "Ed, what do you do?" And he said, "I talk to my brothers." And he says, "I tell them what I'm doing." And I says, "I never looked at it that way, but you have to, because we have friends on that wall." And when people come out, they got to be respectful of it, and they are. And on Memorial Weekend, we had people dropping coins all in front of each name for certain reasons. I trained with him. I was with him when he died or whatever. And whatever the coin's meaning was, the wall was loaded with money. And I told Robert, our curator, I says, "You better get the coffee can out and bring that in, because they'll just sit out there." And I do it because of, you know, I got this soft spot in my heart for vets, because I've been through it and I know what they go through. And when we had Trails to Zero, where we had the 20-mile ride to reduce suicides, and Jared talked about guys come back, and what do they do? And I talked to several vets who rode in that, and he says they don't have purpose when they come back. You know, they teach you all this stuff and all these skills and all these fighting skills and how to kill people and stuff like that, and you come back and you go, "I'm kind of lost. I got to find my purpose." And he says that's the most important thing, and you probably found that too, is once they find purpose and redirect their life, they're on the right path. And 22 a day is way too many, and it's sad to think that you have veterans that come out here and they don't have to feel intimidated or anything. They find friendship out here with us because we know what they went through. And so a lot of times we'll sign them up for Monday night. We have a free group support group run by Tim Shield, who used to work at the VA and is now retired, but he does a support group for veterans with mental issues and PTSD and stuff like that. And when he retired, he had several guys come out to the ceremony and tell him that if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today. So we know in a small way we may be having an impact every Monday night on guys that come out, and a lot of them are Vietnam vets. We do have some Iraq vets, but I'll tell you what, if you can have an impact in one person's life, save one life, that's a lot. And that means a lot to us. And on Saturday, once a month, Saturday morning, we do a spousal group. So the ladies, girlfriends come out and they talk, and that's helped a lot of gals who are going through the same process with the guy they live with or the guy they're married to. And it's really important that you have that group support from within the family. So we're having some impact. To answer your question, we get people out here that have never been here before, or people that haven't been here in 5 or 6 years and go, oh my God, has this place ever changed? And I says, well, that's what we want it to be, a good new experience for you. Sharon Tucker was out here for the Rolling Thunder dedication of the POW bench on Memorial Day, and she was delighted to be out here. She'd never been here before, and what a nice lady. So yeah, we welcome everybody, and we really encourage a lot of young people because Vietnam's a page and a half in the history book. You know, a 20-year war. Hello, they don't realize the impact of what has happened. So.
Yeah, I think that's a piece of this we don't talk a lot about. We've talked about school children coming out here and others, but really there's that healing cathartic for veterans themselves. I remember one of my grandfathers died this year, earlier this year at 96, and he was a Korean War vet. Oh, and yeah. Grandpa would never really talk much about it, which most of them don't talk about their experiences, but he would with his buddies, when Sure. they were together. And so I think this fall, when the Korean War Memorial was dedicated here, that was pretty powerful. You had a number of those veterans from that. So those stories are here, and that's a powerful thing, in our community.
To think 8 of the 12 were still alive,
mm-hmm. Right.
And that's really cool. But because most of them are in their 90s, and
right.
they still come out.
Yeah.
And it's great to see them.
Yeah.
They all paid the price.
So Katie, what is there when you meet with veterans, and help counsel them and guide them? Is there anything that surprises you as you talk with veterans about, what their experiences are and what they're trying to figure out?
I think what surprises me the most is that veterans don't quite understand the VA. And I was in that position too, honestly, before I got into this position, because I didn't understand that the benefits side doesn't talk to the healthcare side unless you ask them to. And so just navigating that. So just the other day, I had a National Guard member. She was in my office, and she didn't know that she was eligible for healthcare. She'd gone 10 years and didn't realize she was eligible for health care through the VA because she's a combat veteran. She just thought, oh, I'm a Guards member, so I don't have health care. I don't have access to the VA. And I was like, excuse me, girl, you're a combat veteran. Get your butt to the VA.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of shocking to me that sometimes we don't think of ourselves that way. Like, oh, I'm just a Guards member. I'm not a veteran. You are absolutely still a veteran. You put on that uniform, you swore in, you're still a veteran. There's lots of different definitions to veterans, but in our office, you're still a veteran.
Right. Now remind me, we have 400,000 people that live in Allen County. Approximately how many are veterans?
22,000 was the last count for the Allen County veterans.
Okay, so about 5% of our population are veterans. How many utilize your services?
That is a good question because we don't just narrow it down to Allen County. Our services are open up to veterans in other counties. You can be just on the line of like that Wells County or even that DeKalb County and just still come over to us. And so it's kind of hard to say just the Allen County veterans that help us. Sometimes we even have Ohio come over because they utilize the Fort Wayne VA Medical Center.
Yeah, but really it's a fraction, right?
Yes,
so I mean,
absolutely.
You know, there are so many more that could be taking advantage of this service that, you know, we're proud to provide
Yes.
in Allen County. And I mean, I'll be a little prejudiced here that I think we do it better in Allen County than almost anywhere else in the state.
Absolutely.
You know, and you've got a team of people who are dedicated and enjoy working for our veterans and are passionate about it. And so that's good. So Jared, you know, you talked about veterans come back. And, you know, I think you said it well, Eric, that, you know, they're looking for that purpose, you know, okay, I've been trained to, you know, kill people and break things. And now I come back here and I don't know what to do. And so in that void, you know, they find depression, addiction, those things. How do you maneuver through that? I mean, number one, you can probably help because, you know, you've served too. So you know what they're going through to help that. But, you know, we know the problem is much deeper than what even we all see. So how do you maneuver through that?
Honestly, I'm very transparent and I'm very blunt. So it doesn't matter what branch you're in, you're going to be struggling when you come home. I don't care what your rank was, what you did or didn't do. But the problem I see vets all the time, and I always ask them, I say, how many vets do you hang out with? And they think about it for a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, how many vets do you hang out with in Allen County? Not that you served with. And it's generally they don't. And in their mind, they still have their friends, and meanwhile they've alienated themselves here. So in their head they think they have all these friends, but they don't. And the way we view life, the way we see life, the way we operate, it's just different. And that's how that alienation leads you into that rabbit hole of, you know, maybe you're drinking too much, but you didn't think it's a problem because, you know, in the Marine Corps that was normal. And it's just years, honestly, of alienation and substance abuse and just damaging your body that it all piles up. And, you know, sometimes, yeah, life can throw you a curveball, but generally life is what you make it. So whether you're going through a divorce, or you're losing your kids, or you lost your job, or you have these medical issues, it all starts with you within. And so I'm really big on not letting them be a victim and finding purpose with them. I encourage them to come out to our events. I encourage them to volunteer in our community. You know, again, and I'm not saying vets are better than civilians by any means, but I will say I love my veterans more than anyone else in this world. And it's really hard for me to allow you to throw away what you did when you come home. If anything, you need to be coming home and taking over this community. So if somebody reaches out to us, just know you're going to regret it, because we're going to stick on you like no other. We're going to hold you accountable, and we're going to work with you. I'm going to harass you about the VSO and your benefits and what you're doing in the community. If you're not a good parent, I'm going to make sure you're a good parent. If you're not a good spouse, I'm going to make sure you're a good spouse. If you're ready to talk about faith, we're going to talk about faith. It's just, there's just no sense. It will never make sense to me to just come home and just throw it away, because it's really hard to do what they did. And now this is the easy part, all right? This is the easy part. You're home. So let's integrate into a good member of our society and not forget, you know, what we've done or what we did or what we saw. But, you know, I will say for me personally, the reason I chose the path that I'm on now, you know, sole custody of my daughter, founder of a nonprofit, man of faith, is because I have friends that they would have done anything to be here, but unfortunately they passed in battle. So it's up to me to live my best life and work as hard as I can in honor of them, because they don't have that opportunity anymore. So that's what keeps me motivated and driven, and I love our community. And I think Northeast Indiana is such a huge pro-military and veteran community that I couldn't have asked for a better place to live. And I'm very blessed that this is the root of our nonprofit, and it's an absolute honor to serve our community every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know one of the talks I heard you give at some point was talking about, you know, that veteran that's isolated back from military service, and they're in their basement alone, you know, drinking and cleaning guns.
Yeah.
You know, and then in the depression, they're just like, you know, maybe it's time to end it. And it is that isolation that all three of you are trying to kind of break up, right? Whether it's having a place here that people can hang out with their buddies and just talk, right? Sure. Or people that understand what they're going through and help them cut through all the government red tape and garbage that the government throws, or just someone to listen to and say, you know what, some tough love.
Yeah.
That's what, really I would encourage, if you're watching this podcast and you got a loved one who's a veteran or you are one yourself, there are resources out here that are free, that we would highly encourage you to use. You don't have to live in Allen County
Nope.
to do that. I mean, the VSO would be happy to serve you. Their whole criteria is be a veteran, right? And but that is one that it's powerful, the resources we have that really we don't talk a lot about. We don't, the museum here is a hidden gem in our community. The VSO, is one as well. I mean, it's one that, I've had the privilege and pleasure as commissioner, getting to know more about and talking with their team about all the stuff they do. And it's just, it blows you away when you look at that. And, Jared, as you see here, is a dynamo. I mean, the guy's everywhere, and he truly does love our veterans. And, if you see them in crisis, I mean, any time of the day someone calls you, you're going to be there.
Absolutely.
So, and that's, that's cool to see it. It shocks me when I see him, in full pants, but
Very
because,
rare.
that is, but you know what? You're out there all the time. So
That's good.
So what things would you like, our veterans, our community to know about the services we provide or the help that's out there that people may not know?
For me personally, I would just say you have to take care of yourself. You have to investigate for yourself. You have to be in charge of yourself. Don't sit here, too often the average person that serves is 4 to 5 years, so they were never in a position to give orders. They're used to taking orders. Well, that's changed. You have to give yourself orders to go take care of yourself now. There's so many resources in Allen County, and they're phenomenal at what they do. Like I said, I work hand in hand with the VSO. Either they're sending me a vet or I'm sending them a vet. But I will just say, in the most professional and sweetest way possible, a closed mouth don't get fed. Fight for yourself, or reach out to us and let us fight alongside you. But we absolutely will take care of you, because the resources here are endless. You just have to do the research and put in the work.
Right. Well, and I think a piece of that is, if you're a veteran, you fought for those, benefits.
Yeah.
This is not, giving a hand out. This truly is, these are benefits you're entitled to. So there's no shame in asking for help and, utilizing what's already there. Katie?
So I have this elevator pitch. So at one of my old positions, it was you always have to have your elevator pitch ready. And so my elevator pitch is to younger veterans like our age, because we aren't utilizing the VA to the potential that it needs to be. And so my elevator pitch to those young veterans, even though they're working and they have all the healthcare benefits they need, I let them know that still go and enroll into the VA hospital. Go once a year, do your yearly checkups. The more veterans that are utilizing those benefits, the more funding that they get. The more funding that our Fort Wayne Hospital has, the more beds we have for Vietnam veterans. And I think as veterans, we in our core still have that we want to help. We want to help people. We want to help other veterans. And so me just going once a year for a yearly checkup helps have those beds for Vietnam veterans. And I can't tell veterans enough to enroll. When we are older, it's going to be us asking for those benefits and stuff. If you're not enrolled, then you can't get those benefits. So go enroll.
Well, we're fortunate in our community to have a VA hospital.
Yes.
And I've heard it's one of the better ones in the system. So.
And we even have a women's health there also, which is a big deal for VA hospitals. Like we were talking about with the women becoming, I think it's going to be 20% of the military in about 5 years, that this VA hospital already has women's health in it. So that's a big step for VA hospitals.
So in ensuring that we keep those benefits
Yes.
and keep those beds, we need to have our veterans sign up.
Go enroll.
That's right. Great. Eric?
We had our scripts. We got a call one day from D.C. This guy was doing a television interview, and he says, I want to come to Fort Wayne, talk about the closing of the VA. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And everybody's been talking about that for 20 years. Oh, yeah, they're going to close, they're going to close, they're going to close. He came, interviewed 3 Vietnam vets at the wall, and a buddy of mine in Florida saw our interview like 2 months later. And he says, yeah, I saw you on TV doing a thing for the VA in Fort Wayne. I said, I go to the VA. I've been going to the VA for a number of years. I get the best health care. I go for my checkups. I go for, ear, nose, and throat. I go for podiatry, whatever. And prescriptions, you call them, they're there. They send them to you, and there's no missing medications. I'm on a high blood pressure check every day, and I take my blood pressure, and it automatically goes to the VA every day. And so people that say, well, we don't get good care, they're totally wrong. I'll tell you, the people out there do care. And everybody that I've dealt with in whatever department at the Fort Wayne VA has been outstanding. And I think you got to trust people. And I think a lot of that comes back to when you get out, Jared, that people don't trust a lot of people. And I don't trust anybody. Well, let me tell you, the older you get, the more you need the VA. I'll tell you that. And their health care is excellent. And the people they have working there are well respected, and I'm glad I have them, and I need them. So it's wonderful.
So any final thoughts you want to share with us? Well, again, I want to thank you, Eric.
Thank you for inviting
Katie,
us. I
and
mean,
Jared.
that's great.
No, this is
a great subject matter, Ron, we're talking about.
No,
and
it is. And
each one of these people hit on their strengths. Jared.
Well, and these are my heroes. I mean, people that have served our country as well as they're serving the community.
I'm a shiro.
That's right. Okay, Shiro, there you go. But really, this is what makes our community so special, is that, people that really serve and care about others. And it'd be easy to say, well, I've done my time and I'm going to go do my thing. But when you look at what's been put into this museum, you're not getting rich working for the county. I mean, what you're doing to work with our veterans every day. And then, Jared, the work you're doing, is saving lives. And so, it makes me proud to, be a resident of this community, and really how we do love on veterans, and how, really encourage our veterans. If you're not, utilizing some of these services, do. They're here for you, and it's ones that we're happy as government employees to help provide, for our people. So I'm glad you were able to join us today. Hopefully you have learned something new, and would encourage you, any questions or comments you have, feel free to send us those. If you go on to our website of ron4allen.com, there's an section for comments. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts about today's podcast or anything else, because our goal is really helping you understand how government's working more for you, and that how we can make life better for you, not just in Allen County, but in Northeast Indiana as well. So again, thanks to the three of you. Appreciate you being here today. And that will wrap it up for this episode of Talkin with Turpin.